As I record this video, it is very early Monday morning, just after midnight, in fact, here on the East Coast of the United States. And as you can see, the Dancer's Path has less than 2.5 hours left. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to complete the Esme fusion. I've been keeping pace with all of the events, but I wanted to see how this hero's path played out. And the good news is, I think I've done enough with the Dungeon Divers portion of this so that it's not going to cost me too many shards. I think Esme is an interesting champion. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I approached this hero's path, in case that can help you in the future, and then we're going to pull some shards. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. Let's get started. While I have you here, would you please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and consider joining our Discord community. And don't forget, my next Takeover Tuesday live stream goes up at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, February 18th. I hope to see you there. Just a quick refresher with the event calendar here. Today is Monday, February 17th, and we are right here, just at the end of the Hero's Path. Now, the Hero's Path is, like I said, the crux of this entire fragment event, and it's because there are 25 fragments here. They took out a Summon Rush and 2 Dungeon Divers, so we've got a Hero's Path, which is basically 3 events in one, and you get the points the same way. It's still a Summon Rush and a Dungeon Divers event combined, but instead of having, 3 different batches of fragments, you've got actually 5 batches of 5 fragments here in the Hero's Path. So you can get 5 fragments, or 10, or 15, 20, or 25, depending on how you wanted to approach the Hero's Path. Now, I want to remember that the Champion Chase tournament here, this is a little bit more predictable. We're going to get a batch of 5 and then another batch of 10 later on. So if you want to do the full Champion Chase tournament, you can get up to 15 fragments. And remember, we can only skip 15 fragments in the entire calendar. So that means we need a minimum of 10 fragments from the Hero's Path. But like I said, you could get 15 or 20 or 25. So if we're looking at the Champion Chase tournament, we could say, well, we can't really skip 5 fragments. Like, that's not really possible. So between these 2 events, what we actually need is, out of these 40 fragments, we need 25 fragments, right? Out of the 40 total. So if we skip 10, that means we need to get 30 from the Hero's Path and the Champion Chase. So we'd have to get the first 5 from the Champion Chase and all 25 from the Hero's Path. That's a lot of summoning. That's way too many shards to my mind. However, if we go the other direction, we can get 10 points from the Hero's Path, and we could get all 15 from the Champion Chase. That's also a lot of shards. It is a lot of shards. But I think it's going to be cheaper for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is a Champion Chase, so it's going to matter what champions you hit, not what shards you're pulling. And there is a 2 times Sacred Shard event. I think it's going to be Sacred Shards event on that weekend. So you got a pretty good chance of hitting some legendaries. Now, 2 times Sacred isn't really the best for Champion Chase. It's just not. You'd rather have 2 times Ancients, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Plus, I'm going to be able to use my fragment champions that I've saved up, and I've saved up a lot. I have like 3 legendaries and maybe 3 epics, or maybe 4 legendaries and 3 epics, something like that. Plus, of course, there are mystery shards. We could always pull mystery shards for a Champion Chase. It's not so bad to do that. So we're going to approach this where we're getting the 10 points here and the full 15 from the Champion Chase tournament. That means we cannot miss any of the other events. And the good news is I have done all of these events already. All of these are done. I have not done this one yet, and I have not done this one yet. But the Ice Golem tournament, the Classic Arena Takedown, and the Gear Enhancement, those are very easy. So the Champion Training Tournament and this Gear Enhancement, I'm not even worried about that. This Champion Training Tournament, that's the one that's going to take a little bit of an investment. I'm going to do most of it in the tavern, so I'm not really worried about it, but it does take a long time, and it's a lot of points. So this Hero's Path, we're going for 10 points, and then the Champion Chase Tournament, we're going for all 15. That's my plan. You may be going in the other direction, and that's totally fine. If you went for all 25 points here, you could totally skip the Champion Chase entirely. That's not necessarily a bad way to go, but I'm going to try to save more shards if I can. All right, so now let's go in game and you can see the way the hero's path has worked out for me so far. Just a reminder, in case I didn't say it, this is on my main account. On my challenge account, I decided to skip the fusion. So just in case there was any confusion, I didn't say that earlier. But let's go ahead and check out this dancer's path. As you can see, I have pulled down 15,700 points so far. Now, we got 4,500 points from Plarium as a Valentine's Day gift, which feels pretty weak to me, I gotta say, because if you look at it this way, you get 4,500 points for pulling a Sacred Shard. They could have just given us a shard. That would have been so much better than the points, right? Because then at least we would have had an epic or maybe even a legendary. We could have used it in the progressive event that's going on right now. That I would have preferred. And then if you didn't want to do this, you could have had the shard for later if you decided to go for the championship. You know, like, you could have done it a whole bunch of different ways. But we got 4,500 points. So I was able to pull down, you know, another 11,000 or so just from doing the dungeon divers. Now, just to show you, I have chewed into my my gem count here pretty significantly. I want to say I used somewhere in the vicinity of 700 or 800 gems just doing this particular hero's path. Now, I normally allot myself around 800 gems as a maximum for the entire fusion event, and so I'm definitely going to exceed that this time around. The dancer's path felt expensive to me, but when I spent those gems, I also was calculating how many sacred shards I would have to pull. So if we calculate the entire path, it's 33,500 points to get this 5 fragments and this 5 fragments over here. So those are the 10 fragments. Now, these 5 fragments are actually pretty cheap after that. It would only cost an additional 5,000 points to go and get it. That's basically 1 sacred shard and a few hundred points from dungeon diving. So I could do that. But remember, if I'm going to skip part of the champion chase, I need 10 additional fragments. So all this would give me is a little bit of insurance on a whole bunch of really easy events. The only thing maybe that I could save is a little bit on champion training, maybe, but I probably want to do that anyway, so I want to generate more 6 stars. So there's really no advantage to getting 5 additional fragments. I would have to come down here and get another 5 and, you know, 10 total. And then it would be maybe worth it in terms of shards. But that's a lot of points to get these 2 additional. Now we're talking about 10, 20, 25 almost, roughly 25,000 additional points, which is a lot. And so that could be like, you know, maybe 5 or 6 additional shards. And I don't really want to do that. So what I've been able to do with my 15,700 points is knock this down to 4 sacred shards. That's actually not bad. If I were going to do a summon rush, typically for one of these fusion events, it would probably be 5 or 6 sacred shards. So I've actually been able to use the dungeon divers and my gems to get the energy to do the dungeon divers to save myself a couple of sacred shards. So it feels like overall this fusion event is going to turn out to be on the shard light side, I guess I would say. It's not going to take as many shards as it would normally take to complete entire fusion for me. But instead, I had to spend a lot more time grinding dungeons. Wasn't too bad. I guess it wasn't too bad. I would take that trade normally. I just don't really like this path because I think this path is just overloaded. It's way too expensive. There are way too many things here. It's really trying to get people to just spend, and pull a ton of shards. And, you know, when you only have 3 days, there's no way to do this entire thing with energy. I basically spent all 3 days just farming as much as I could. And I only earned like 11,000 points. You know, I wasn't going 24 hours a day. You know, if I was using RSL Helper, I'm sure I could have like quadrupled that. But my point being that if you're like a mobile player or something, there's just no way. There's no way to do this without pulling shards. And I don't like that. I don't like how heavily loaded this particular dancer's path is or this hero's path. But for me, it's going to work out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my shards first. We'll get all the points. And then we'll come over there to the path and we'll collect our rewards. Now, there is a progressive chance going on. Just to show you, I've got 15 shards right now. So I'm only going to pull 4. I'm not pulling more than that. Out of all of these champions, there's Moto, who is the duo. And then who is this guy? I don't even know who that guy is. Let's go find out who that guy is. I've seen him before, but I just don't recognize him. Is he a high elf or is he a dark elf? I don't even know. I think he's a dark elf, right? There he is. Ultan of the Shell. That's who he is. It's just that portrait is weird. That's a very weird portrait. I think Ultan of the Shell got a buff recently, so he might be decent, but I'm not particularly interested. I wouldn't mind Moto, though, because Moto, I think, to pair with Esme would be really cool. So we're going to go ahead and use this as an opportunity to go after Moto. And that's it. We're not pulling any other shard types. We're just going to pull the 4 Sacreds. After Moto, you know who I want. I always want Kymar. So I want Kymar, and I would also like a Kymar. And that's it. Wish me luck. 4 shards in a dream. Here we go. I don't really like pulling during progressives, but, you know, I think of this as a guaranteed champion event. You know, it's a fusion event. So I don't mind pulling for guaranteed champions. Wouldn't mind seeing gold tonight, though. Or this morning. It's really late. It's really late. I should be in bed. 3rd shard pull. Anchorite. All right. We'll empower our Anchorite. I think I'll be up to +2 or 3 now. And 4 epics. 4 epics. No particularly exciting epics here. That's okay. It is what it is. All right, let's go look at our points. So we should be over the 33.5 mark. It should be 33.7. 33.7. Now, one of the things is you don't want to mistakenly buy both of these top, you know, charms here. So one of them is rarity charms and one of them is rank charms. I always forget which one I have fewer of. So I have almost exactly the same. So I guess we'll get some rank charms today. Okay, so let's do that. Rank charms. All right, now I have to go down both sides. I have to not accidentally take the keys. I don't want the keys this time. And I should have exactly enough points to get these fragments. And there we go. I am left with 200 points, which can get me exactly nothing, but I think it converts into gold later anyway, so that's not, or silver rather, not gold. But okay, that is it. That's the way I've played this. Now, if we just ride out the rest of the event, we should be doing quite well. And as you can see here, I've got 55 fragments now. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got at least 6 fragment champions I can pull. I'm definitely going to pull stock. That's something like I wanted to do anyway. So I'm going to definitely pull stock for the champion chase, and then we'll have to see about the rest of them. But yeah, we should be able to handle the champion chase well enough with our 11 sacreds and maybe some mystery shards. All right, that is it for me today. Let me know if you decided to complete that hero's path, and did you go for the 10 fragments? Did you go for the 20 fragments or the 25 fragments? What did you decide to do with that hero's path if you did decide to complete the Esme fusion? Or maybe you passed. Maybe she wasn't exciting enough to you to actually invest all of that time and effort like I did. So you can tell me that as well. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. I have been Colred, and I will see you in another video soon.